Mercado Libre is an e-commerce company operating down in Brazil, Mexico, Argentina, and other Spanish-speaking countries in South America. It's a successful company that's really growing their revenue. I like the growth in revenue. I also like the geographic connection to Latin America. Mexico, as an example, their economy is doing well. They're doing well. Their middle class keeps growing, and their economy is doing well. So I think selling e-commerce down in Mexico is a great idea. I'm not quite sure about Brazil or Argentina, but I have heard that Argentina's economy is improving. Having said that, I am interested in having an e-commerce retailer in my portfolio. So I wanted to analyze Mercado Libre and see if it's a good stock to buy and put into my portfolio. I'll share my analysis with you and go through my evaluation of the company, see if it's really competitive or if it's just another company. I'll value the company based on their free cash flows and their earnings per share and compare it to the current stock price. And then I'll conclude with my intent to either buy or not buy and just pass on the stock and share that with you. None of this is financial advice. It's just one investor sharing his analysis and opinion on a company. Please make your decisions independent of this video and weigh them carefully. Now let's take a look at the fundamentals of Mercado Libre. Mercado Libre is an $81 billion company, and their revenue is just a little short of $16 billion. The PE currently is 72, and they are a high growth company, so that's somewhat understandable. Their forward PE is coming down because I think their revenue line keeps getting bigger, their profit keeps expanding, which is very good. Analysts really like the company, have a strong buy, and they say, hey, it's discounted by about 20%. The stock is rallying in the pre-market. It may open about 7% higher. So that's interesting that the market really liked the earnings they announced yesterday. I'll take a look at earnings in a little bit. Looking at their revenue, this is where the company is really impressive. Just the growth year over year has just been excellent. And they already have a pretty good number, and they keep growing it, a pretty big number of revenue. And they keep growing it by really big percentages. So that's a job well done by the company. Good job, Mercado Libre. The other thing I look at is cash flow. And the cash flow for this company is positive and has also been growing. If you look at the cash flow growth, I love seeing where a company consistently grows their cash flow over time. That's a sign of a really solid business that really has the model figured out, and they're probably just going to keep expanding that free cash flow. The balance sheet. I like debt to EBITDA to be less than 3. Let's take a look at what their debt to EBITDA ratio is for Mercado Libre. And that is a 2.04. Nice. Good balance sheet, really good company in a space that is expanding. They're profitable. They generate really free cash flow, really good free cash flow. So the fundamentals look really good for the company. Let me take a look at their earnings. The earnings report came out yesterday, and the company announced they grew year over year by 42%. That is phenomenal. Very good growth. Again, their revenue number keeps getting bigger and bigger. So growing at high percentages like that is more difficult, and it shows the company has a lot of special sauce to it. The margins, 14%, which is good for an e-commerce company. And net income margin, 10%. Again, it's an e-commerce company. And if you look at Amazon, they have margins that are in that range. Other things I think the earnings were in general very good. One thing I discovered about Mercado Libre is that they have fintech. I think they're doing a lot of financial services in the form of fintech. That is interesting. It's good that they're diversifying away from e-commerce and maybe catching another industry play that can give them better margins and keep that growth going. So very nicely done that they offer fintech, which makes sense since they already have a relationship with the customer. Why not sell the customer other products and solutions? So very nicely done. I really like that about the company. Their active users of fintech has really grown. And here is the layout. I think the biggest market they have is in Brazil. Second biggest market is Mexico. And then Argentina is in third place. So those economies, I believe, are doing well, specifically Mexico. That's probably the one that I know most about. Their economy is doing quite well. My one investment in Mexico has done well because of the economy expansion. So overall, the financials on the earnings report looked really good. And that's why the market is rallying today and really supporting a good stock price for Mercado Libre. I like buying companies where possible that are really strong competitively. They almost operate like a monopoly where they have no competitors, they can set prices, they continue to grow in an expanding market without a lot of competition. There's a few companies that are like that. Mercado Libre, I'm going to put them in the ranking, but I like companies in the green, and I like to stay away from companies in the red that have too much competition and there's too much of a price battle. Margins are being squeezed. There's very little cash being produced. I happen to think the Mercado Libre is straddling the green and the gray. Gray being it's an okay company. A lot of old industry companies are in the gray. They're good companies, they're profitable. They just don't grow a whole lot and they have some competition. Mercado Libre does have competition. Amazon, as an example. Alibaba continues to grow around the world. And I think they do have competition, but they have big advantages since they focus in Spanish speaking countries. I think culturally, they probably cater to that market far better. Probably the customers probably feel a better connection with Mercado Libre. So that geographic advantage, most certainly, I think is an advantage. It puts part of their whole proposition in the green. So I like the company. It's not a specific monopoly, and it's an industry that's really competitive. E-commerce is super competitive, right? And the margins are not the greatest. It's not like a software company or other companies like Facebook that have just incredible margins. So that's where I rank Mercado Libre in my desirability quadrants. What do I think Mercado Libre stock is worth? I happen to think that each share is worth $2,293, but the market is selling shares today at $1,732. So it's discounted by 32%. And the way I get to that discount is I look at their cash flows and discount their cash flows that I expect they're going to produce in the future to a current value and really work towards comparing a value per share based on free cash flows to their current stock price. I also look at their earnings per share and see the valuation based on earnings per share. And together, I blend the two and I get to a discount of 32%, which is a good discount on Mercado Libre. This is a higher risk company since they are outside of my home country, which is the US. A lot of things can happen that can surprise me. So I discount them at a higher discount rate, much higher than Amazon, as an example, to compensate me for the risk. So those things are taken into account. Now, overall, I think a 32% discount is a very good discount on Mercado Libre. And I'll be watching this company. Now, let me arrive at the decision. Should I buy or pass on this stock? Mercado Libre has really impressed me. I think they have a really good business model and I love their revenue growth. It's a sign that it's a strong business that keeps getting bigger and stronger. So I really like the company. They have a really solid balance sheet with debt to EBITDA at around 2. The discount of 32% is also a good discount. Therefore, I'm going to start buying into Mercado Libre. It's a little bit of a tough day to buy into them since they're up about 7%. I hate buying stocks when they pop up like that, especially since the rest of the market's pretty much selling off today. So I'm going to let things settle down, but then start dollar cost averaging my investment in Mercado Libre and build a position. The other thing that could interrupt my investment in Mercado Libre is Amazon. Its stock price is really dropping. And Amazon is the strongest player in the space. If I can get Amazon at a very good price, I would be investing in Amazon instead of Mercado Libre. Let's see how that plays out and which one I end up buying. So that's my video on Mercado Libre. I hope you found it interesting and I appreciate you watching.